Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating, it's Monday, October 12th, 2015. Ra and Glenn in the Lynn-Body-Mind today. Black Wolf and Paul in the Jamie-Body-Mind. Other teammates in other aspects of the physical dimension. All of us in the physical dimension and in the subatomic layers of the physical dimension from the perspective of the spirit world presences.
That's true.
Paul and Glenn have come into the Search for Truth pillar so that they can have a conversation where the air is clearest, and that's what's going on right now, and it's time to video, so you'll be sharing in the experience. And as always, the foundational background intention is to do what is ours to do right now in all dimensions to manifest the divine plan. The data clearly showing what's needed is to provide a collective restart. And with that, it begins. Glenn here. Ra has asked me to explain what's going on in the projects, and specifically in Thing 2, which is where Paul and I and Asha and many others have been working.
That's true.
The assignment is to run the spirit world cabling through the entire system, that entire humanoid life form, not leaving space for the nature realms because they weren't doing anything and the clock was ticking, so that's okay. It has to be done. We run the spirit world cabling all the way from the top, all the way to the bottom of that humanoid life form. And the top cabling is set if we can keep people from, and the people being, of course, souls, spirit world presences, if we can keep them from taking the chickening out roads and destabilizing the entire cabling system, the top cabling is in place. And
that's true.
And that goes down to this training facility for souls that has been named Shangri-La. Shangri-La is an earthly perfect place.
Paradise.
Paradise, an earthly paradise. And in this case, it's a training facility for souls. Now, people have to get down those scary cables, quote unquote, to Shangri-La. It's a self-selecting process. If people aren't willing to do that, then they aren't ready for the curriculum that's being presented there.
That's true.
And the curriculum that's being presented there is designed to prepare people to go all the way down the cabling, because the next stage of the journey is even scarier. So I've been working with many others to lay the cabling in the second stage of the journey of soul energy through that humanoid presence. It's a journey of soul energy through a humanoid presence that hasn't had soul energy in it
a really, really long time.
We can't find traces of soul energy being there, but it's possible that it was there a long time ago. We just haven't yet found traces of previous souls. Like no archaeological dig has shown the bones of souls, quote unquote.
That's true.
And with, I don't know, somewhere between 500,000, maybe around 500,000 souls in this one Thing 2 humanoid presence.
Yes.
We're having the troubles that you might expect with a group of that size, when only maybe 50 of them actually want to do the work.
That's true.
And so there are all kinds of destabilizing presences. And Asha and Paul and I are working kind of on our own on different parts of the project, and it doesn't seem to be setting the right tone overall. It sets a tone of fiefdoms or feudal lordship, kind of. And
that's true. Division, separateness.
Division and separateness, and that's the wrong tone. We are all charged with the responsibility of getting this one humanoid life form to live her soul plan,
That's
to do
true.
what she's supposed to do in every moment and nothing else.
That's true.
To live the soul plan, the whole soul plan, and nothing but the soul plan, so help me God. That's our job. And working in fiefdoms doesn't set the right tone.
No.
Asha has said that if Paul and I can come to some kind of agreement, that she will join in kind of like a triumvirate governing body of soul presence in this humanoid life form. But she doesn't want to be part of a three-way argument, that she doesn't have any interest in that she's busy and has lots of work to do and
That's
no
true.
time to settle contests between boys.
That's true.
Which is a valid point.
Yeah, it is.
So Paul and I need to work this out, and we've come here because we're having a hard time working it out where we work, and the air is clearer here. Ra here. Let's just run some screens for intent to do the work as assigned by wiser minds above to specifications in every moment, and run these screens through the search for truth pillar, including where we ourselves are gathered right here, right
That's
now.
true.
And that will pick up the aspects of us who don't intend to do the work as assigned by wiser minds above to specifications in every moment. And when we find ourselves bobbing on that screen, we're caught, that is our opportunity to melt down into the oneness of the rest of our soul presence. And if we don't want to, well, then we're going to be dumped into Luce's sorting machine.
That's true.
And we'll come out wherever the law of attraction pulls us, basically, which may not be a place of our liking. Many of us in these previous screenings have discovered we're being dumped into the project known as Thing 3, which seems to be collecting
fantasy addicts.
That's
true.
We're probably hanging on to beliefs that are untrue, that we're struggling to let go of.
That is definitely true.
Would anyone like to speak to what they're noticing in terms of the aspects of us who are being caught on these screens that show that we don't even intend to do the work as assigned by wiser minds above to specifications in every moment?
Paul noticed that I am suddenly very, very thin, faint, kind of ghostly.
Go on.
It feels like most of me is screening out.
Yes.
And the Paul voice is getting very quiet.
Yes.
The Paul, mass of Paul, the energy of Paul solidifying. It feels like in Thing 2, but there's also still the ghostly, shimmery sheen of him here.
And where in Thing 2?
Not in Shangri-La, closer to the middle, closer to the Black Wolf Point, and right around one of the, what we've been referring to as Weenie roads.
The escape routes taken by the cowards.
And but it doesn't feel like he's walking down the Weenie road. It feels like he's blocking or somehow in the way of the Weenie road.
Right, we'll feel the energy that's down that Weenie road, and that's where those kind of like the mutineers are.
That's true.
That's
down
where they
the
are.
Weenie road.
Well, are you going to cut off that Weenie road? Or do what? What is the instruction from wiser minds above to do about all these Weenie roads? Let's see if we can discern it. What are we supposed to do? Live streaming up. What now? What now? How to deal with this situation in such a way as to provide a collective restart right now.
I think I have it.
Go on.
We've been getting messages today about friendship and what is true friendship. And now seeing Paul standing at the edge of the Weenie road and saying something like, I don't want to cut off the Weenie road, these people are my friends.
Whoa.
And if I cut off the Weenie road, they'll be sucked into somewhere else, and then they won't be here anymore, and that will make me a bad friend. Asking the wrong question, first of all, and second of all, defining friendship in such a way as to keep everybody stuck.
Right.
And
so what would a true friend do? Would a true friend call his or her friends into their greatness?
Yes.
Set a good example, be an inspiration?
He's nodding, yes. And he feels very sad.
It is sad.
And he can feel the instruction to cut off the weenie roads.
Yes.
And really cut them off.
Really cut them off. Because they keep growing. People
That's
keep
true.
forming them.
That's true.
No matter how well signposted it is.
That's true.
No matter how distinctly uncool it obviously is.
That's true.
People keep doing it.
And he's saying something like, if I redefine friendship in such a way as to be calling each other into our greatness over and over again, I won't have any friends left.
Ah. This sounds like Matthew, leader of the Seraphim.
That's true.
Now, what we have said to many others is, well, make new friends. What you'll do is vibrate differently. Law of attraction is real. Law of repulsion is real. And you will lose the friends that weren't real friends. Law of attraction will bring you to those who you are in vibrational harmony with.
That's true. And now feeling some annoyance from Paul towards Glenn.
Yeah.
Like, well, Glenn calls me into my greatness, but that's really inconvenient and it bums me out, and
it's irritating.
It's irritating. Even though it works out when I actually do what he's reminding me I need to do, I get my panties in a wad about it.
Yeah. Interesting phrase.
Yeah,
panties
he said
in a
panties
wad.
in a wad.
Yes. Well, good thing that you acknowledge that you get your panties in a wad, Pat.
That's true. What
What
might
does that mean?
Right.
He's coming around the corner in some internal thinking process.
That's true. That's what that is.
And maybe he's walking along the thought path that will get him to where he's actually willing to take the steps that need to be taken. Now, Paul, I can feel, it's possible, check me on this, it feels to me as though you're thinking you'll just tell someone else to cut off the weenie roads, and that way at least it wasn't your hand on the saw, so to speak. And that's really a bad idea. That's the wrong direction. That's being a weenie about cutting off the weenie roads.
It's still not doing what's for you to do.
It's hiding behind others while pretending to delegate. We shouldn't ask people to do things that we aren't willing to do. We have to be willing to do it. Delegating is not about getting people to do things we aren't willing to do. Delegating is about giving people the things that are easy to do because we need to be focusing on what is more difficult. So do this. Find the most scary, most difficult thing on your to-do list and do that. If you want to become an inspiring leader, then feel your to-do list and find the scariest, most difficult thing on the to-do list.
Got it.
What does it seem to be?
Game theory would say cutting off the weenie roads.
I don't find anything that feels scarier or more difficult.
No, I can't find anything that feels scarier
That
than
feels
that.
like the most challenging thing. So the most challenging things on our to-do lists are for us to do. That is absolutely the wrong thing to delegate.
That's
now find
true.
the easiest things on your to-do list, the things that feel like absolutely I can just whip this out.
It's like filing forms and making phone calls to repairmen. Little things.
Those are the things to delegate. Find someone trustworthy to delegate them to.
That's true.
And there's the other rub.
Trustworthy. I was feeling that.
You might not have anyone trustworthy to delegate them to.
That's true.
Yes. It doesn't feel as though you actually have a loyal following.
No, it doesn't.
Feel, for example, you can feel that Glenn has a loyal following, right?
Yes, I can feel that.
And you feel the vibration of what a loyal following is, right?
Yes, I feel that.
And now feel through the people who work with you and see if there's anyone who has anything remotely like that vibration of loyalty to the leader.
No, I come up empty.
Right. So, if you and Glenn were working with Asha, of course, as a triumvirate, but
Yes.
if you and Glenn were working as a team, would you feel comfortable in using some of Glenn's people who are loyal to make the phone calls to repairmen and do the filing?
Yes.
I myself notice the aspects of myself who are catching on these screens, aspects of me that don't intend to do the work as assigned by wiser minds above to specifications in every moment, and most of me choose to melt down into the oneness of me, but some of me don't. And where they're showing up, they're just popping up below the end of the line outpost. Boop, 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 like little bubbles. Boop, 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 boop. Coming in, having the opportunity to pick up the crates of lies and come up the stairs.
That's true.
Does anyone else notice aspects of themselves being screened out quite clearly, not intending to follow the instructions from wiser minds above, doing the work as assigned by wiser minds above to specifications in every moment?
I, Black Wolf, notice big chunks of myself screening out.
And what happens? What do they choose to do? Do they choose to melt down?
The majority of them seem to melt down right before they hit the sorter.
Right.
And those that go into the sorter seem to come in through the door
below
the end of the line outpost.
And start again.
That's true.
Paul, is there an aspect of you that survives the screening, that's still here?
A little thread.
So that little thread of Paul, game theory would say, is Paul's highest and best aspects.
That's
the aspects
true.
of Paul who intend to do the work as assigned by wiser minds above to specifications in every moment. Well, let's just ask this aspect who's here with us. In your view, from your seat, is it a good idea to work in harmony with Glenn and Asha as a triumvirate? Is that your perception of the instructions from wiser minds above? I could have it wrong. That is your perception. And Glenn, what is your perception?
Feels like a big nod.
Right. All right, well, we'll see. The ball's in your court, friends.
That's true.
We each of us see that we all have aspects who don't intend to follow the instructions from wiser minds above. And the key is to make good choices so that those aspects of self get smaller and smaller, fainter and fainter. And meanwhile, the rest of us can still be of service to spirit. But cowards aren't generally good servants.
That's true.
Courage is necessary, and integrity is necessary. And so we look for an intersection of interests, and Paul, the aspect of Paul that screens out, that is by far the larger presence, and is still in the project's thing too, I believe he can see that he has no trusted lieutenants of his own, and that Glenn has a plethora of trusted lieutenants.
True.
And that if he and Glenn simply have a handshake, have an arrangement, that Glenn's lieutenants will come and do the things that are delegatable, that should properly be delegated. And they would do the other things as well, but Paul, they would be eating your lunch, and soon you would not have any following at all. So that would be a bad plan.
That's true.
The good plan is for the leader to do the scary, difficult things, him or herself. That's what works. It's interesting. Up there, looking at the probe, I see big hands that seem to be willing to take the work and grade it and make it right, but the probe doesn't like those people.
No,
it's veering
it really
away from those
people. And I have an icky feeling about those hands.
People are not helpful.
That's true.
Don't help us.
No, thank you.
This is a project of Source. And you're the one being tested, friend, not us. Don't touch that probe.